Hi, guys. Welcome. Thank you for clicking on this show. Welcome to the Voice It Show. My name is Connie Kireka, and I'm one of the hosts of the show. Today, we are talking and debunking this whole issue about health and wellness. And particularly, we're talking and tackling depression. And my guest today is a very special lady, and I know you'll find so much value from what she's going to teach us today. Her name is Reverend Nene Mudhuri. She has been with the Methodist Church in Kenya. She's a minister with the Nairobi Synod. She's a coordinator for the Junior Church and Teens Ministry. That means she has a heart for the young people. And this is something which we feel may be of value to you as you watch this show. Today, we want to debunk depression. Are you depressed? Do you know someone who is depressed? Huh? You might not know, but maybe someone who is very close to you is going through so much. In this show, we want to really debunk this topic so that we might empower ourselves. 2020, we know, has been a tough year, and we want to bring this opportunity on the Voice It show to bring it to you to hopefully help someone feel lighter. And I pray that whatever you get from this show will be of so much value. My name is Connie. Karibu to the show.
Hi guys, my name is Keith Kinoti, and as my co-host just said, today we are tackling the topic of depression. Let's get to meet our guest, Reverend Nene, who is also a counselor, to help us debunk this topic. Karibu Rev, introduce yourself.
Wow. Um, Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here on the Voice It Show. Thank you to the hosts who have invited me on board. And I'm glad to be here to just have a conversation, really, about the topic of depression. What is depression? Who can get depressed? Why do we get depressed? What can we do about depression? It's a whole big topic, and my prayer is that at the end of it all, at least we'll have learned something. Maybe not everything in one show, but at least we'll have learned something that we can carry home. Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome, Reverend Nene. We are so happy that you could join us today. Now, just to start us off on this show, maybe you could just tell us, what is depression? Is it really a disease or is it just a state of being down? Because, most of the time we go down, every human being has those moments. Is it going down? Is it really a disease? What exactly is it so that we can um, understand what this thing is?
Depression is all those things you've said. And I know many times you hear, especially young people saying, niko na stress because of one or two issues. Sometimes not too serious. By the time it gets to depression, you don't even have the energy to say niko na stress. Depression is a mental, I don't know how to call it a condition, but depression actually morphs into a disease that needs medical attention, that needs clinical care. I mean, as in somebody needs to go to hospital for that to be treated. But it's a whole long process. By the time it gets there, then things are really out of shape. So key thing, it affects us mentally. Depending on how long one has been in this state of being low or being down, as she rightly mentioned, many things can happen. But the clinical bit, I mean, the part where somebody needs to go to hospital to have medical care, be given medication for the same, is really at the very end, which is a very dangerous point to be. Yeah, but otherwise, importantly to note, is that it affects us in our mental health. It affects how we function.
Thank you for bringing up that point. And for you, viewers, we recently did a video on mental health where we hosted the one and only Dr. Steven. He really helped us understand mental health and how it. So, does depression stem from mental health, or can they morph into one thing? And general, how do they affect our overall health and wellness?
When we speak about mental health, it is a phrase or a word that carries within it a lot of things, depression being one. Stress has something on mental health. And like you're asking whether it stems from it, you can see I'm trying to weigh my words. because of how much misunderstanding there is about issues, mental health, depression, and stress. But I would say they are relatives. We use, well, in layman's terms, we use one to explain the other. Your other guest, who is a clinical professional on that, would use clinical terms to explain it. But when you're talking about layman's terms or layman's way of understanding it, the three of them are relatives. That's what I usually call them, they're relatives, to help people debunk exactly what is going on through them. Because you need to understand what is it that causes you stress. And you also need to understand that there is positive stress and there is negative stress. A little stress is good. Hello? Some stress is good. You know why? Because it makes your body want to engage in either fight or flight. So your adrenaline goes up and it gives you energy to do something. For example, if you're told today that you have an exam on Wednesday, this is Sunday, definitely you'll get stressed up. What does that do to you ordinarily? It should give you the psyche to now actually prioritize, sit down and read. Ako ka energy, you know, it's not the normal energy you'd have if you are told you have an exam next month. Yeah, next month you'll push it further and further down. But yeah, this week, Wednesday, then your adrenaline shoots up and you get the energy to work. So stress is both negative and positive. Now, when we are dealing with negative stress, if not taken care of, it is what now morphs into depression. There is no saying how long it can take by the time it develops into full depression, because again, the way we are made differently, our bodies have stamina, different stamina to handle these things. There's somebody who will get stressed out and in a month, they are looking like, you know, the day before yesterday. Then there's somebody else who can carry a stressful factor maybe for a year before they can actually say, now I need help. So let us not be quick to actually say I'm stressed without actually understanding exactly what we are talking about, because the language we use to define these things also confuses us, and at the end of the day, we don't know. Because if you keep on saying, niko na stress, it becomes like a catch word, you know. So nobody will ever take you seriously when you say niko na stress. Hii ni ile story yako tu ya kawaida kusemanga uko na stress. Yeah? So we need to be able to understand and use the language appropriately. Yeah.
Maybe just to get into it deeper, what would you say are the leading causes of depression?
You know me, I'm speaking as a minister. From my corner of the world, the things I see causing people stress are many. Children get stressed up, and what will cause children stress is mostly stuff happening within the family and also in school. For instance, a kid who is bullied in school will develop stress into depression. Because what happens when that kid is not able to sort out these issues, they close in on the inside. I don't know how many of us, even the viewers who have ever been bullied. There's this guy, okay, I don't know that this still happens in schools, but I went through the public education system when, public schools were good. And we had something that used to happen every closing day. Unaambia mse nitafunga na wewe. Do you know from the day uliambiwa utafungwa na wewe, hakuna kitu rahisi class, because you're thinking there's this bully in school, you know, who is waiting for me. Unajua kufunga na wewe ni kuchapwa. So we have those bullies in school. But there's also this kid in the class who picks out on one kid for one reason or another. They will take your pens, they will take your books, they will take your lunch, they will take whatever it is they take from you, and they make the life of another kid difficult. If this child has not been empowered to speak up, that has a potential to make them get depressed. Another thing is, if within the family setup, parents are not in good relationship, the children will get stressed up. For example, in homes where we have physical abuse, a lot of violence at home, a lot of verbal, abuse, a child has faith in the parent, and then the parent turns abuser. Now what happens is the child gets confused, and they don't know who to speak up to. Now, there were days when children would know how to speak, say, to their grandparents. We don't have that benefit, especially in the urban areas. So you live in a court or in a flat or in your own compound. If your father or your mother is the abuser, who do you tell? No one. Maybe the house help, yes, if you're close, but largely with the small kids, they just keep it to themselves. Children who have been sexually abused, unless you're very keen to see the signs, that child will die of depression and not talk about it. Why? Because they were threatened. You tell your mother about this, I will kill you. All right? If you come to teenagers, now that's an even bigger spectrum. Let's talk about the teenager today. And maybe allow me to rope in one big thing that is happening with teenagers and young people and causing them stress: social media. Social media is the most unsocial place to be. And all of us are running towards social media. But what are we doing on social media? I know we say Facebook is for the old people, but there is a page, hey, you need shock absorbers to be in some of these pages.
Yeah.
There's a page called Home Beautiful. That when I looked at it, until one day I saw a clip of a young man who photoshopped himself in my friend's house. Now my friend is into interior decor. She really decorates really well. And she's in Denmark. She's a Kenyan living in Denmark. There's this Kenyan young man who decided this house looks very beautiful. I can Photoshop it, post it on House Beautiful, and claim it to be my own. And of course, there were very good comments about, young man, you made it, blah, blah, blah. So you can imagine the pressure on his age mates. His own pressure. Why is he feeling so pressured to put himself on such a? So think about girls in the use of filters. I mean, you don't wear makeup natural. I mean, every day. But on social media, actually there was a joke about, women, when we appear at the pearly gates and Peters will say, we don't have you in this database because
What they see.
what they see
It's not what
and what they have in file, those are two different people. So social media is causing young people a lot of stress. I patronize social media platforms because I want to understand the conversation with young people. So finally, I got myself on Instagram, and I have the kind of content I choose to put on Instagram. Then one young girl who should now be around 15, then she was 14, she DMs me and says, imagine you have more followers than I have. And me, I'm thinking I need to increase this followership, yeah? Because of the content I put out there. I will post, I had to learn how to do quotes so that I can post them as clips or pictures. And I do mine from scripture, and I post sermons. So I have a followership that is now growing a bit. It's at least over 1,000. So this girl looks at it and she says, at your age, you're so much older than I am. How come you have more followers than I have? So already, akonaka pressure. She's almost my mother's age. Why does she have so many followers and I am a young person? I'm the one who's supposed to have. So kuna hako ka pressure ka followership. These things are causing young people a lot of mental imbalance because we don't know who we are if we are not on social media. We really don't. And many of us are going to great lengths. Like somebody mentioned to me sometime that, some of these celebrities, they will go somewhere with a whole, what do we call it, a bag of clothes.
Yeah.
Venue ni moja, to post tofauti. Alafu anaweka to captions up, and then you start thinking Dubai, sijui Seychelles. She said, in this corona time, ulikuwa Dubai wapi? But you see, because as young people, we don't ask questions. All we see is that, hey, this dude is looking sasawa. So we start punishing ourselves to do things, and at the end of the day, we have a hollow feeling in us, and the more we try to fill it, unfortunately, instead of filling it with the correct things, we are filling it more with the things that actually dig a deeper hole. So we have a lot of young people walking around with a lot of emptiness on the inside. They know they are empty, but they don't know how to fill that void. What causes other people depression? Older women, postpartum depression. I don't know that you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
A woman carries a pregnancy for 9 months. She's so excited, super excited, until the baby arrives. And something happens in the emotional self, something goes wrong with the brain network. And they're looking at this baby and they're wondering, okay, who is this? There's one lady who writes some very nice creative stuff on Facebook mostly. And the other day, she actually let out her own secret about she doesn't feel like she's a good mother to her son. She doesn't love her son. And the boy now is grown. And for many people, they didn't realize that she's been going through postpartum depression all along. So what do? We start bashing her. What kind of a woman are you? What kind of a mother are you? How can you say you don't love your son? Why are you saying you don't love your son and in public? And you see, that's how as society we kill people, because we don't want people to admit that they have a problem. For her, when she puts this story out there, she was saying, my mother has been a better mother to my son, and I would rather that she's with his grandmother than me, because I don't have that motherly instinct towards him like I've had with my older children. And postpartum depression is so bad that women have tried to kill their babies. They refuse to breastfeed their children, and many times, unless she has a supportive system around her to realize that it's depression, and that needs actually clinical care, then we bash them and push them further into it. Depression will be caused by disease. People who suffer terminal illness need to go through both the clinical care, but also a lot of counseling care, both as a patient, but also as a family around them. Because if you have a parent, say, who is suffering from something like, say, cancer, you need to be able to understand that they will have what in psychology they call manic moments. Nika wanatupa mbao. Because of the pain. The pain becomes so severe that they don't know what to do with it. So she has been a strong mother all along, a strong woman or a strong man all along, but then they have this pain in themselves that is so severe, and at the back of their mind, they know it's only a matter of time. It may be 1 year, it may be 20 years, but I'm dying from this thing, all right? So if they're not helped to deal with a sense of loss, it's like they start mourning their deaths before they're dead. Unless somebody helps them to lift up their spirit and deal with that pain, both physical pain and the psychological and emotional pain, then they slip into depression. And when they slip into depression, they drag the rest of the family with them. One, financially, these diseases are draining. So you're a parent who can't provide for your children. And then it's so painful, and your children you also don't want your children to see you suffering this much. So all these things put together, they make people, patients get depressed. Depression can also come as a result of substance abuse. I don't know whether you've ever seen somebody you know and they're so sober, and they start abusing a drug, and you literally are able to monitor. Say 2 years ago, alikuwa sober, like ile sober ya ukweli. We could have a proper discussion. Then they start slipping down. Some of them realize that the ground they're standing on is not steady anymore. So what happens is they start fighting this thing, but because they are addicted to something, the only way to, in quotes, cure themselves from this is to get deeper and deeper into the stuff. So again, you're digging a deeper hole. So the causes of depression really, I would almost say, are as many as human beings on earth. You lose your job, some people, like now during the COVID times, people have lost incomes. You're looking at your children like this, you can no longer afford the food they have been eating. So what happens? Stress sets in, and if it goes without being taken care of, you have full-blown depression. So depression really is something all around us, and we need to be able to identify it, the signs and the symptoms early enough, both in ourselves and also in those around us. Yeah.
Thank you for that insight, Trevor. And all this leads to the question of if someone was saying earlier today, I can come to you, we'll talk as friends, but the moment I leave you, I'll mask it. I'll mask whatever I'm going through. Because, as you said, society shuns those who say, I need help in most cases. So, I would like to know, and probably for our viewers, what are some of the signs that you can help for people that you come across, your friends, your family? How can you easily tell that this person is going through something difficult? Yes, it might not be long term, but you can help them in the beginning to help them not sink deeper. As you say, don't dig a deeper hole, but probably help them come back.
Now, we need to learn, before even I answer your question directly, we all need to learn how to develop authentic relationships. Authentic relationships, real relationships, true relationships. That is where today we have messed it all up. Because when we say you're my friend, what does that mean to you?
I say you're my friend.
Yes.
You're my confidant. You're my support system.
I have a very basic way of defining who a friend is. A friend to me is anybody who has my back. Meaning, whether I am present or I'm absent, this person will stand up for me. Kanuke namna gani, they will always say, the way I know this person, what you're saying is not true. All right? Now, that is a person who is a friend. Allow me again to just hop in and out again back to social media. When we talk about friends on social media, we are talking about total strangers. Nowadays, I have over 3,500 friends on Facebook. I don't know, not even half. I don't know a third of these people. Why? Because of maybe where I have spoken before. Maybe people are attracted to content I put out there. So if you befriend me on Facebook, I look at who are our mutual friends. And if I can identify our mutual friends and say you're a sensible human being, then I will add you on my friends list. But I don't know who you are. But that language of this is my friend, I struggle with it. And I struggle with how as young people use that language. Because you've been walking along this route and you meet this guy, and of course, he has a nice personality, and every time kikutana ni zile za hi. And then when you meet with her, you introduce that person as my friend. Na mnakutananga tu hapa kwa barabara. What do you know about that? So we need, first of all, to debunk that and learn how to create authentic relationships. Because for somebody who is close to me, I don't need to see you. When we talk on phone, I will ask you, Keith, what is the problem? Because even from your voice, I can tell today you're having a bad day. All right? When I look at you, I can be able to say, hey, Kawe, today, kuna vile. What is going on? But you see now, when all we do is wear a lot of filters. Now, when will we know hii filter ya leo ni ya kukasirika, hii filter ya leo ni ya kuchoka, hii filter ingine ni ya makasiriko ya juzi? You get? Yeah. So as individuals, we have to be authentic in ourselves, and we also have to develop authentic relationships. I liked one interview I listened one time to one guy, I think it was on Radio 316 back in the day. And he said he had to learn to develop a relationship with each of his children. So when the children would come home from school, all he needed to do was to look, say, at his daughter and ask, was it the maths lesson or was it the English lesson that went bad? Because hii sura sila ninajua. But how many people can actually look at you and know you're going through a difficult time? So we need to be able to have authentic relationships with people. Create safe spaces where we can talk. Because that is what we don't have. We have this urge to show that I am okay. Because I have to be posting on social media, mall things, Dubai things, sijui which one things, and which other things. So I have painted a picture and created a facade that mimi ni yule msee. But on the inside, I am dying, you know. I wear either real makeup or ile ingine ya virtual space. And that's a picture I want you to know, all right? So if that is a picture I've always painted as this person who is always okay, do you think I'll want to tell you I'm not okay? Because I will feel like I am a loser. And then the thing is, the things we as a society promote, it makes some people feel like for as long as I'm not like this, I'm not in this league, then I don't belong. That needs to stop. Otherwise, we are killing ourselves because I am 20 years old and I want to be driving the car that my father at 60 drives. Huyo mzee amefanya kazi miaka ngapi? 40. Ndiye akadrive ile gari yako nayo. Now at 20 surely. Ndio umepata tu ka ID 2 years ago. Ndio serikali ya Kenya najua ni mtu mzima na unataka kuplay league ya wazee. It can't be. So one, let us be genuine and authentic in ourselves. Let's create authentic relationships. Let's have authentic friendships. And let's see people as people. One of the things I've learned in ministry, especially with children, is I treat all children as children. Whether your father is a president, whether your father is a peasant farmer, you're a child. So even if somebody came and told me, mtoto wa Bishop so and so alipatikana akivuta bangi, the first question I ask is, akona miaka ngapi? You tell me a 15-year-old, I was like, case closed. Ulikuwa unataka avuta bangi kwa miaka ngapi? Because that's what 15-year-olds do. They experiment with things. If you're telling me at 30 ndiye ameanza kuvuta bangi, hey, hapo itabidi to investigate. But if you're telling me that this young person is a teenager and amepatikana akionja, booze mahali, what do you expect a 15-year-old to be doing? They try things out, all right? So we need to have, and then a lot of love and care for people. A lot of genuine love and concern for people. See, I'm concerned about her because I know her and I know her family, lakini you because I don't know you. No. And especially I'm speaking now as a Christian, and as a Christian work and as a Christian leader. Let us learn to love people, for being human beings, not for being human doings.
I think this has been such an important lesson. And I think even us as hosts, we are sitting here and we're just learning more and more from you. And I want to believe that even you who is watching, you've really found that first session of the depression talk very, very useful to you. Right now, we want to take a short break and we'll see you in part 2. Please don't leave that screen. Let us really unbank this 100% so that we can be able to help you and I, or anybody at large who you might know might be suffering. If there is a friend you've not given a call of late and you've noticed they're withdrawn, send them the link to this show, and we do hope it will help you. See you soon.